Hi, I'm Ange Mack. Welcome to Operation Freedom 2, a fun and friendly show dedicated to improving our veterans' quality of life. And today we're going to talk about the rich history of World War II and the Freedom Museum. We have with us Jim Porter, who's going to be talking about the programs they have and what a gem this is in our community. Jim, thank you. Jim, thank you for thank you for being with us here today and talking about the Freedom Museum.
Thanks so much for asking me.
Absolutely. Now, at the beginning of my program, I do a piece called Our Community Cares Share. And normally I would talk about something else in the community, but you have a fabulous program that I'm aware of called the Footlocker program. And this is where you take the Footlocker full of World War II artifacts and gear, and you go around to the schools. Tell me a little bit more about this and what you're bringing to our schools and our kids.
Well, originally we found out that it was easier to bring the museum to school rather than bringing the school on a field trip to the museum, because the kids have to have a bus, and they're limited in the time because they can't leave until after everybody arrives.
Right.
Because there's only a few
But
school
field
buses.
trips are great, though. Everybody loves a field trip.
Yeah, but on the field trip you have to feed the kids, and that was a issue.
You could have MREs, right?
Well, yes. And then you have to make sure they get back with us within a certain time, whether they finish their tour or not.
So you bring the museum to the schools. What age groups, what grades do you offer this to?
To middle schools and high school kids.
Okay.
And with the Footlocker, we also have a Jeep, and we have a MASH ambulance. And
so the kids come outside. So this is an outside museum trip where you bring it to them and they get to experience.
Right. We usually start out in the classroom, and then we go outside and then we take a quick look at the bomber or the Jeep or the ambulance, whatever that we have brought, and you get a pretty good feel for the technology of World War II.
Okay. And these are some of the things that you bring as well. These things are in your Footlocker?
Yeah, I brought a few things that I thought people might be interested in that are in the Footlocker. This is a Japanese helmet, and it's made out of steel, and it's kind of an interesting artifact because this sort of represents the timing of when World War II started.
So it's a World War II Japanese helmet.
Correct. So it's made out of steel. The Japanese were having difficulty with enough natural resources to have steel, and so they bought junk steel from the United States. So when Mr. Roosevelt turned off their supply, then they had to make a decision to fight sooner rather than later, while they had enough supplies enough steel to fight with.
Sure. And so when you bring this around to these young adults and kids, what are some of the feedback or the remarks that you get with regards to, let's say, the helmet, or you also have a clicker there too?
Okay, well, seeing as how you ask, this is the world famous clicker, and this is what they gave World War II soldiers that jumped on D-Day as a communications device. Okay, so I would hand this out in class, and I asked a kid one time, what do you think this is? And he looked at it and he said, well, gee, it's got a hole in it, so obviously it went on a necklace around your neck. I said, oh, that's good.
That's astute.
And he says, I think this is where you put your cyanide pill in this little case right here.
Oh, wow.
So in case the enemy caught you, you'd know what to do. I said, well, gee, son, that's a better story than I was going to tell. Keep that.
It's like a John Clancy novel there.
Yeah,
so.
But anyway, that's the clicker, and that's in there. It comes from D-Day.
And what else comes from D-Day?
Well, there's Omaha Beach sand.
Yes.
And if you look at this real carefully in the light, you can see lead flecks in here still from maybe some of the bullets and rockets and bombs that went off on D-Day ended up on the beach.
And if you were a school and you wanted to get this Footlocker program, which is not the same as the mall store, this is your Footlocker, your World War II Footlocker, how would they get and schedule this, with their school, with their class?
Okay, well, two ways. One, you can call the museum, and someone will answer the phone, and you can schedule with somebody. They'll write down the information. Or you can go online and you can fill out a visit request, and just freedommuseum.org.
freedommuseum.org.
And then go to visit, and you can fill out the form, and I will get it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So now our students and our teachers know where to go. And I must say, this Footlocker program to me is so important because, as we were talking about earlier, a lot of the civic classes are going away, and the history around, what makes America free and the fact that freedom isn't free. And just getting the kids this information, is this what kind of brought you to, doing this? How long have you been doing this program?
About 12 years, I think. I think originally I was a naval officer, and then I taught school for 18 years. I started the ROTC program at Osborne Park High School. And then after that, I was going to play golf and sit in my rocking chair. But real soon, maybe 2 weeks after that, I realized that most people, when they have the kind of life that we have, where we've been in the service and we have a mission, and that's what drives us. I needed a mission, and so this Freedom Museum was something that I believed in strongly, and so I began to volunteer there, and that's how I got started in it.
Well, it's so appreciative, and I thank you for doing this and bringing it to the kids. I know you work with other people, but that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it in our community shares, because it's just a wonderful, wonderful gift to give to our young kids and young adults in middle and high school. So hopefully we'll get your calendar filled up, and you'll be going around to Prince William, Manassas, and the schools in the surrounding area, right?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Not to overload you, but this is our goal. We're going to get you, really, really employed after this show.
Okay. Well, that brings up a really good point. We all exist at the museum because of volunteers. We don't pay any salaries to anybody, so everybody that works at the museum does it because they're addicted, like I am. You get hooked.
And they see the worth, and yeah,
absolutely.
Feel it.
And you see your own service at the museum as well as your friends and neighbors. And so this is an appeal to, if you have any interest at all and you have any time at all, we have some events coming up, and we really do need volunteers.
Okay, and the same thing. If you want to volunteer, go to freedommuseum.org and do the contact button or call, and you guys will reach out and sign them up, so
Absolutely.
to speak. And speaking of signing up, we have some things that you brought with regards to the museum artifacts and all that you all do there. And before we talk about these documents, just a little overview about the Freedom Museum for those that are not familiar at all. I think it's just a wonderful gem and treasure in our local community. Just a quick summary on what the Freedom Museum is and what it entails.
The Freedom Museum is located at the Manassas Regional Airport. It is a timeline that starts at the turn of the century at the Spanish-American War. The time when America becomes a world power, and then it is a little serpentine tour through time, and it goes through World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and then you can end up in the present. And so our museum is never complete, and we're working on exhibits for the people that are serving today.
So it's from turn of the century to what's going on current, the wars that are still going on, the battles that we're still fighting. And those guys and gals that the museum represents and honors, they're from the Prince William County area or throughout Northern Virginia?
Our stated footprint is Manassas Park, and Prince William County.
Okay.
But we exceed that to Northern Virginia, I think.
And you get items donated to you, correct?
Yeah, the local residents bring in Grandpa's stuff, and then we put it out. It's amazing the things that came in.
I can only imagine, and I've seen the museum. I see something new every time I walk through it. And I know this uniform, which I'm absolutely honored to wear, this was given to you too. Tell me a little bit about this World War II Army nurse's uniform, and I just love it, by the way.
Okay, well, Angela, you wear it very well.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels good, even though it's like 100% wool, right? And it's a little bit warm today, but it's still.
Yeah, that would be your dress uniform.
Okay.
And that would be circa, 1946 maybe, because some of the patches that are on it says that you are a veteran of World War II.
Here?
That one, yeah, that's
This
the
one here?
ruptured duck.
Okay.
And that's your rank. There.
Okay. What am I?
You're a technical corporal.
Technical corporal. I'll
Yeah.
take it. All right.
And that wreath also means that you fought in World War II. That's the victory wreath.
And this one over here.
That would be your unit patch. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know what unit you're serving in, but that's where
Okay.
it goes. And
Fascinating.
you would also missing on your uniform is your ribbons. And I don't know if that one came with ribbons, but if people brought the ribbons that uniform represents. But I remember when the lady brought the uniform in, and it was her mother's uniform, and she was a nurse in World War II, and she
How
had
generous.
a long story about the places that she served and the kind of nursing that she did.
I can imagine. And this little hole here, is this a bullet hole?
Well, I'm
is this
afraid-
where the nurse was like, down there on the ground dodging bullets and grenades and possibly?
No.
Not in this one, because this is the dress uniform.
Yeah, that's your dress uniform. But unfortunately, the dive bombing moths have gotten that.
Well, that'll happen. But look at what great shape it's in.
It is in great
it's
shape.
just everything's together. And this is not the original shirt that I have underneath. I couldn't find a khaki, but it was the closest I could come up with. So thank you for letting me wear this today in honor of the Freedom Museum and all that you guys do and share.
Oh, thank you.
And so a little bit more about the Freedom Museum. I want to talk about what you brought in with regards to some of these documents. So what do we have here?
Okay, so service in World War II is a little bit different than if you signed up to serve today. You signed up for the duration, and most likely you were going to be drafted. So in my Footlocker, I have the letter that informs the recipient that they've been drafted into the United States Army, and it gives them instructions to report to the receiving place so that you could begin issuing your gear and the training.
So this is your draft letter.
That's
So
your
this
draft letter.
This is
It
what you get in the
starts out-
mail. That's where it all starts.
Yes, it starts out greetings, and you can see in bold it says greetings from the President of the United States.
Very nice. And there you go. There you go from there. So this next one, what do we have here?
Well, everybody had to sacrifice during World War II in order for us to be able to feed ourselves at home and be able to feed the troops that were deployed overseas. And so people were encouraged to start a victory garden. So
And that's what these pictures represent? Tell us a little bit about the pictures there.
Well, the one on your far right there, it says your victory garden. So you'd be raising peas and canning them and that sort of thing. And the middle picture is, again, the food that the lady put up in jars and cans to augment their diet. And then the last one has to do with scrap. So little Johnny would come with his wagon and knock on your door and ask if you had any scrap tin or metal. And
their recycle program.
And they would
Very nice.
put that in the wagon, he'd haul it to the junkyard, and they would melt it down and make airplanes out of it.
Wow. So it was truly a community effort. back then.
Everybody wanted to feel like they were contributing to the mission. Because the
Absolutely.
men were in danger overseas, and everybody wanted to support them.
Okay. And talking about food.
Yeah, those are ration stamps, and the one on your right is for meat, and so each one of those represents a pound for a month.
So rations. So we know what rations are. What did this mean? Did people get authorized rations from the government? How did this work?
That's how much meat you could buy from the meat grocer.
So you would be given these tickets, these ration tickets, and then they would go, and once they're used up, that's all they could have.
Now you're having Spam.
No, Spam. Okay. Well, a lot of people like Spam.
Yeah.
I grew up on Spam, so
Yeah.
fried Spam.
Spam is
Staple?
the national meat or the state meat for Hawaii.
Yes, it is. They have all different kinds of Spam there.
And then the ones that are on the left there are gas ration stamps, and if you look, there's 9 of them. So that person got 9 gallons a month.
For gas for their stove, for
gas
their vehicle?
for their Model T, whatever they had.
Well, if you had a Model T, then you were probably doing pretty well, right?
Yeah, that would be your family car. So 9 gallons, as you know, wouldn't last you a month. So then people would have to you have to go to your neighbors and say, hey, my daughter's sick. Well, I need to take her to the doctor, and I'm out of gas.
You have to help one another.
So you'd have to help one another.
Yeah, and again, it's all about community. I know the closest I've ever come to seeing that, I think, was in the 70s. I was very, very young, and we were like lined up a mile down the street for gas because of the gas shortage, and that was just because there was a shortage, and that was the ration. But yes. All right, and one of my favorite, Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, there's Rosie the Riveter, and
We can do it.
yeah, and on the left there is Rosie the Riveter's paycheck. And so
How much does she get paid?
She gets paid $95.63 a month, which is pretty good pay for a lady in 1944 or 43. And on there's her insurance that she has money held back for, and her bonds or war bonds.
War bonds. And the women really had to step up during the wars. They couldn't necessarily stay at home because all the jobs that the men were doing, the women had to come in and fill those positions to keep the factories going and the economy going stateside.
And women could do some jobs better than the men could because they had smaller hands and they could put them in places and do riveting and.
Yeah, would you say women could do most jobs better than men? I'm kidding.
You can. I'm
putting you on the spot. So.
Wouldn't argue.
Yeah.
No, but the point is that everybody, no matter their sex, was required to contribute to the war effort, and so that women went into work, and it changed the fabric of America because before World War II, women stayed home, and men went to work, and they were the breadwinners. After World War II. Women had a paycheck, and that gave them power, and they were not about to give that up, and so.
And our evolution ever since.
Been evolving ever since.
Yes, yes, and I'd like to say that the Freedom Museum in the Manassas airport terminal is laid out so nicely, and anyone basically in any condition could get in, whether you're in a wheelchair or a walker. It's all flat, and you can get around easily through all the exhibits and just see it all. Take a half a day, and it's free as well. And during the last part of every program I do, until we get the issue around transportation for veterans resolved, I want to know, with regards to the Freedom Museum, if a veteran could not get out on their own, if they didn't have a vehicle, what would be the next best way for them to get there? Is there a bus stop? Is there an Omni ride?
I don't believe there's a bus stop or Omni ride. Uber goes there.
Uber's always a good.
And the Manassas taxi goes to the airport. And if you wanted to come badly to the museum and you called me at the museum desk, I would come get you if you were in and around our city.
Such a nice offer, Jim. And I know you would too, because I've known you for years, and you're just a fabulous person. So,
well, thanks.
Thank
you. It's important that people get to go and see the results of their service.
Absolutely. It certainly is, and that museum does it so well. And before we end today, let's talk about your upcoming events. So we have one of my all-time favorites, the Manassas Air Show.
Yep, May the 2nd.
May the 2nd, put it on your calendar.
This is a free air show. This is the best deal going. We're going to have a group of guys that are professional flyers. We're going to have the P-40. You can see the picture there. Tomahawk, American Dream. And there are not very many of these left, and you get to see this thing fly. It's pretty exciting. And the P-51 Mustang. There's another event that's going to be the following week. It's called the Arsenal of Democracy. And as a result, the owners of these bombers are going to be arriving, and you can sign up to go for a ride.
So you can ride one of the bombers.
Well, it takes his money.
All it takes is money. We have plenty of that. So.
There'll be an infield that will be full of things to see and do, and lots of food, and then the air show, which is always exciting.
Yeah, because there's food vendors, there's vendors with all kinds of equipment and things for sale, and music. I remember there being music when I was there one of the last times. It's just an extremely fun day. The weather will be beautiful because we'll already, put that into Mother Nature and make sure we have low winds and sunny skies and just the perfect weather.
If we have that, I'm going to credit you.
Okay, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. I have like this with Mother Nature, so.
It's I don't know. I grew up around airplanes, and I can't think of anything more exciting than to listen to one of those 16-cylinder Allison engines cranking up.
Oh, I can
and buzzing
imagine.
by.
It's you not only see it, you feel it, and you're just, it's all about the experience of being there. But Jim, thank you so much for being with me today. I love the Freedom Museum, I love you, and I love what you're doing in our community, and maybe you can come back again one of these days and we can talk more. But until next time, people know to go to freedommuseum.org for the information and to contact you on any of this. And your email, do you have an email you want to put out, or is that on the website too?
It's on the website. It's freedommuseumgo@gmail.com.
All right, freedommuseumgo@gmail.com. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me here today. For more information, you can go to my blogspot, drangemacblogspot.com, and you can see this as well through my YouTube channel, Dr. Ange Mack. And until next time, enjoy your freedom to volunteer.